Welcome back to Tracking That, a channel where we try to track what liberals are saying but end up not being able to as usual. And in this video we have Joy Behar and Rachel Maddow making the claim that Trump is a threat to democracy, and if he becomes president he will come at people through the IRS, through news sponsors, etc. to destroy the humans that disagree with him, and will end up making the United States a fascist state, meaning forced suppression of opposition, being a dictator, whatever. Not like the Democrats are using state attorney generals to remove him from office or anything, but we could talk about that all day, but that's just the irony. And the one thing I just ask out of these lesbos is to provide me evidence of any of this, rather than pure speculation, because if I recall, out of the 4 years Trump was in office, Trump was not a dictator in any form. He never tried to suppress the media. At the very highest, he tried to get journalists to not have a pass for briefing rooms because they were acting immature and disruptive. Jim Acosta, and that was well-founded. But everyone's life was normal. The people that think they were under some dictatorship mentally convinced themselves that, when in reality their lives were normal, especially if they were capable of focusing on themselves. But of course a lot of people want to be activists. And it was the governors that overstepped and locked their states up for COVID. And to this day people still believe Trump has blood on his hands when more people died to COVID under Biden. Not that it really matters, because regardless of lockups or not, comparing Florida, a state that remained open almost the whole time in Florida, had identical death rates to places like California that were closed the whole time. And plus, blaming a president for deaths for a pandemic is ridiculous anyways. But that was a still major part of the 2020 campaign. But anyways, enough of me ranting. Let's get into the clip that's going to make you lose brain cells for the day.
So you said recently that you thought that you, as an outspoken critic, could be a target yourself. Some people think that sounds overdramatic, but I'm right there with you. I think that he is so vindictive that he will go after, however he has to, through the IRS maybe, or even through sponsors to get us off the air, maybe, or you. Yeah. How seriously should we be taking that?
Well, so I was asked, am I worried about me? And my answer was, I'm worried about all of us. I'm no more worried about me than I am worried about everybody in the country. I think it's bad to have somebody saying, give me as much power as you can in this country so I can use it to go after other Americans, so I can use it to go after these subhuman internal enemies, and I'll destroy them. Like, that's just not a good system for anybody. And I don't think anybody's safe if that's the sort of basis on which he wants to get more power.
Well, remember when Nixon had an enemies list? That was a proud moment for a lot of people if they were on the enemies list. Maybe we need to turn it around like that.
Well, I think that if he decides that he's going to go after you or me or anybody who's well known, we have resources, we'll likely be fine. But I think there's a pattern where he picks out individual people and effectively terrorizes them.
But
I mean, there's Stormy Daniels wearing a bulletproof vest to get into the courthouse, right?
Once you have political violence, you have fascism following that. So
there's literally a possibility that Trump goes to jail for state crimes, something that he can't pardon himself. I don't want to hear anything about a fascist state. Sometimes I feel like they can't even hear themselves talking. But anyways, one of the biggest lines in Trump's campaign in 2015 was to lock Hillary Clinton up. There were crimes that Clinton could be locked up for, like gross negligence for her putting highly classified information on her server, unverified dossier financed by Hillary Clinton to begin the relentless pursuit of Trump. And Trump, being the good man that he is, not wanting to cause any further division, did not pursue any of it. The fakest news is saying Trump creates a divide in this country, when in fact he's been the guy that wants to bring this country together. And it's the Democrats preventing all of that through their influence in the media. Media is the main form of communication of what's going on in the world. And I almost guarantee if Trump is elected, Biden and Kamala won't be in prison. Even though causing an invasion at the border and the withdrawal from Afghanistan could be a case for treason, and all the war crimes he supported in Ukraine, Israel, Palestine could also be a case. And that's how you do it. You name actual crimes with evidence, and then you can fearmonger. But what the Democrats are doing is pure and total unrealistic, misleading speculation. Really a massive form of disinformation, since their audience is so large. But that's what happens when you work for a network that basically already hands you the narrative for the day. You think the View co-hosts just sit in a room alone and say what they're going to discuss? Most of the time, they don't even know what they're talking about. The View airs on ABC, which is a subsidiary of Walt Disney Company. Have you seen the most recent Disney movies with the hidden agendas in it? If you really think about it, the majority of news networks are really owned by 6 companies: Disney, National Amusements, Time Warner, Comcast, News Corp, and Sony. That's why independent journalism is on the rise. But guess where most people still likely get their information from? Through those independent journalists.
Trump and his movement, they are not running against Democrats. They're running against democracy. They're running against the democratic process. They want to radically change the kind of system that we have, the government that we have. And we're alive as American citizens in that time, and we're going to be the ones who decide if the American system of government survives or if it's taken over instead by a strongman authoritarian form.
This is such a lazy argument on why you hate Trump. The threat to democracy. We're actually a constitutional republic, meaning we elect our government officials and they must govern under the Constitution. They don't like this line because they want the popular vote to dictate who's in power. But check it out, policies in New York or California are likely not good in places like North Dakota or Montana. But what they actually want to say is that the Democrats want complete and total control of all branches of government, and Trump is preventing that. So they have to use every pejorative in the book to talk down on him, and legally too now. But what they complain about what Trump might do is exactly what they are doing. The Democrats are a threat to democracy. They are trying to bring more biased voters in through illegal immigration, dictate what's getting taught in our classrooms, what views are suppressed. But anyways, guys, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Sadly, it's going to be in the 2024 election by voting out these people that are actually a threat to democracy. Anyways, guys, that's all I have for today's video. Let me know what you think in the comments below.